Brewers week in review. Gonna be a quick one. I've got salmon in the oven. I got places to be. Got things to do. Um, Gonna be able to make it pretty quick because we talked about the Diamondback series already. If you haven't seen that, check it out, both of you. Let's see. So, quick recap of the Diamondback series. They split, won the first two games. After I gotta stop saying I noticed that in my last video. They won the first two games of that series, not very convincingly. They got out to big leads, 6-0 in both games. Both games, the Diamondbacks fought back, but you split it. You lose the last two after some rough pitching, rough bullpen outings, what have you. Then you go into the Toronto series. You go into the Toronto series without Trevor Megill. Trevor Megill is on the 15-day IL with what is supposedly minor arm issues. It's kind of double-edged sword with him at this point because on the one hand you're happy there's an explanation for him looking kind of off in his last couple appearances before heading to the IL. Things didn't look right. He wasn't himself. And so you're happy that there's a reason for that, but you don't want to see him get injured, especially not towards the end of the year with a postseason push, coming up. So I don't think this is going to be a minimum stint on the 15-day. I think they're going to take their time with him, and I would guess that he'll be back late September, just in time to get a couple appearances in before the postseason. It's tough that he's going down now because Uribe, Mears, Koenig, all these guys have thrown so many innings. They've had so many appearances, they've thrown so many innings, and they're gassed. They look so tired. They're still effective, but it just seems like we're getting close to the point where the wheels might come off. Shelby Miller, no diagnosis is out as of recording this at 7 p.m. on Tuesday the 2nd, but kind of seems like Shelby Miller's done. And not just for this season, but probably for most of next season too. That did not look good. So the bullpen's going to be in need of reinforcements. It seems like Robert Gasser is maybe on the way back, so that's great. He could be a bulk guy. He could eat up some innings. He might even find his way into the back end of the rotation to finish out the regular season. Maybe they go 6-man just to try to keep some guys fresh. I know they've been trying to get Woodruff extra days rest whenever possible, so I wouldn't be surprised if Gasser kind of fills a bit of like an everyman role. He looked really good in his brief stint last year before going down, so we'll see what kind of role he plays down the stretch. Joey Ortiz is back off the IL, which is great because he's a great defender. He'd been hot before he got hurt, but honestly, I had no complaints about Monasterio in Ortiz's absence. Monasterio has been electric. He was on a 11 or 12 game hitting streak. He was playing decent enough defense, but you can tell he's not an everyday guy. What I mean by that is like he just makes a play or two every couple games that just kind of leave you scratching your head. And it feels like with more reps, maybe wouldn't see it. There was one moment in this Toronto series, first and third, 2 outs, Churios at the bat. You've got Monasterio on third. I forget who's on first. I believe it was Trang. If it wasn't Trang, it was Frelick. It was one of those guys. They go for the steal a second. Andres Jimenez of Toronto undercuts the throw, throws home, throws out Monasterio, who was trying to catch the Blue Jays sleeping. I don't know. He was standing on his back foot when he broke for home. He had no forward momentum going when the throw went down to second. It was a bad play, and especially taking the bat out of Churio's hands, who's been hot ever since he came off the IL. He went 0 for 3 in that first game against the Phillies, but he hit the ball hard a couple times. Like he had some bad luck there. Had a walk, which is always good to see from him. But yeah, Monasterio played great for the most part. He does this thing. I love it. Whenever he has a check swing, he points down to the ump at first base. I it's just like a little quirk of his that I find really endearing every time I'm watching one of his at bats. But other than that, glad to have Ortiz back. Sad to see McGill go. Uh, that was not designed as a mic drop. The Toronto series, first two games were fantastic. No complaints from those first two games whatsoever. The Brewers looked great. They were hitting the ball. They were pitching the ball. Like nothing to complain about in those first two games. That third game was a mess. It was terrible. It was anti Brewers baseball. If they played fundamental baseball in the way that they are known for playing, the way they normally play, they win that game. They sweep the series against the top team in the American League. But that game, so many just like non-Brewers occurrences. There was a potential double play ball in the first inning. Ball gets hit to Vaughn at first. He kind of double clutches it because there's nobody covering second, throws it to second, and Monasterio and Terang are both trying to cover the bag. Ball gets into left field, and the Blue Jays end up scoring 3 unearned in the first inning, which not only kills the momentum that the Brewers had built from scoring in the first inning off of Max Scherzer, but then Woodruff has to throw more pitches. You get to the bottom of the order. He just was bad. That's the game that had the Monasterio thrown out at home. There was an issue with Churio not tagging up from second base on a line out by Christian Yelich. He would have been into third easily with his speed. He doesn't tag up. That doesn't end up mattering because Contreras doubles to bring home Churio in the next at bat. But following that, Contreras gets himself thrown out at third base for the third out of the inning. So there's just, you're leaving runs on the table and you're giving the other team extra runs. And that's just not fundamental baseball. That's not how the Brewers play. It's not how they win games. So it was tough to watch, but you also kind of understand it. It's their 18th game in 17 days at that point. Like, this team is just begging for a break. I'm glad they finally have an off day today. And you could tell in that first game of the Philly series that they need a day off. Like, I'm glad they're getting today because I have very jumbled thoughts on this Phillies game from yesterday, but Miz looked great for the first few innings, and then he had just the what's come to be kind of expected of him, where the wheels just kind of came off. That's what it's been for him. It's been like the bad inning these last few starts, and we definitely saw it. They had a pretty quick hook, honestly. Like, they didn't let him stand out there and try and fight his way through it. The second he gave up a couple runs, they got him out of there, and I think it was the right call. He just, those first few innings, he was sharp. Nobody was touching him, and then suddenly it was a walk here, hard hit ball here, and the Phillies put a few on him, and I think it was good to get him out of that game. The blown call on the Real Muto, what should have been strikeout at the end of the game, that's tough. Like, you hate to see that. You hate to feel like you lose a game because of that, but at the end of the day, like, one blown call doesn't lose you a baseball game. I'm glad the Brewers are getting off day. I'm glad the bullpen is getting some much, much, much needed rest. And we'll see how the rest of this Phillies series goes. Overall, mixed bag this week. Not super enthused by the play during the Diamondback series, but mostly reassured by how they played Toronto, who's been, like I said, the best team in the American League. So, playing them tight, putting up 8 runs against the Phillies, who have a great pitching staff. Like, there's some positives to the Brewers. I'm kind of interested to see how the bullpen shakes out now with McGill down, with Miller down. We'll see. There's going to be some question marks, some things to figure out, some innings that need to get eaten up, but overall, we'll see how they play Philly the rest of the way. That's all I have. It's a short one today. Not much to say. Tomorrow night. Last time I predicted Caleb Durbin 2 homers. honestly, Joey Ortiz, multi-homer game. He's done it already this year. We've seen it happen. Joey Ortiz is going to hit 2 home runs on Wednesday night, and the Brewers are going to win 7-4 against the Philadelphia Phillies. Write it down.